Three, two, one, one, two, three, three, two, one.
What's up, you guys? Back again for another episode of the 3P podcast. I'm Nat, and what's up with my co-host Jones? What's up, man?
I'm like this right now. With these playoffs, got me my emotions up and down right now. So, but I'm all right though. I'm all right. I know you feeling some kind of way too. I know you is.
We're gonna get into it in a few, but we're gonna bring in Brian for the injury report. What's up, Brian?
Hey guys, how we doing?
Brian?
How we doing?
Good.
Jonesy, I feel you, man. I feel you.
It's
Listen, lots to talk about on the injury front, especially if you're a New York Knicks fan. Thousands of fans are suffering from heartbreak right now. The Knicks are down 3-1, playing for their season tonight. But they're there. They showed up in numbers. I'm hoping it's enough to pull the team through at least another game. We'll see what we can do.
We're down 10 right now.
Other than that, there's no other injuries to report in that series. Embiid looks pretty good. He's been bounced back from his knees. He's racking up 30-point games. Sixers, one more win away, man. Eastern Conference Finals. So
yeah, they still got to get 4, Brian. They still got to get 4, man.
I got you. Who else? Oh, Chris Paul. You know, I predicted he's going to be out the entire series. I watched video of him shooting around. I don't see much happening there. Originally, they said maybe game 5. I'm very doubtful. I don't think he suits up. I'm not so sure the Suns really need him anyway, but that groin injury in a player his age with his injury history, I just don't see it happening. He hasn't, as far as I know, gotten through a full practice, so I don't see him doing anything this series. If the Suns can extend it to next series, then maybe we do see him back. But the Celtics, you know, there was some talk that they might be able to get back Danilo Gallinari off an ACL injury. He still hasn't been, I think, clear to play, but that is a possibility still. So keep that in the back of your mind. We might see a Gallinari sighting at some point if the Celtics can extend their series here.
I mean, yeah, we'll be in the 3rd round, so of course, then Gallinari will,
All right then. Well, if that's the case, he will
Keyword,
participate.
Brian said if.
That's true.
If I didn't hear the if, I said you said when.
Sure you
know, I heard
I got to be honest. I haven't watched much of the Western Conference playoff series just because I'm on the East Coast and it's on so late.
Yeah.
But you know, the Sun series has been awesome, but I'm shocked that the Lakers have remained healthy thus far. They were the team I thought for sure, just because LeBron and AD basically carried the team, that you know, at some point they were going to start to break down. So maybe load management isn't as bad as I touted out to be. They seem to be getting the job done. But of all the teams that have been fairly healthy or remained healthy throughout this season, the Denver Nuggets have been one of them. Jamal Murray looks good coming off that ACL injury a year or two ago. The rest of their team, Porter's been healthy. I mean, Porter's a guy with a history of back problems, and he's been playing great. That's a tough team to beat out there. I like the way they're playing right now.
Well, that's the series, Brian, that I want to see health and how healthy people are, because AD has not really had much of a challenge, if you really think about it. So when you have to guard Joker, that's a little different.
He looks good. He's looking really good these playoffs too. Yeah, he is.
So we'll see.
And then you know, the only other thing I've got on the injury front, and it really is kind of surprising, no one's really talking about it. The Kentucky Derby was on Saturday. 7 horses died leading up to that race at Churchill Downs. in the week prior, including 2 on race day.
Wow.
Can you imagine if that was like the NBA or like
no.
MLB? I mean, can you imagine?
No.
No one's talking about it. There's got to be something going on.
I don't know.
Where's PETA? Where's the all these activists?
I heard
do some research
trainers
for
and
us.
stuff got
I'll have to get back to you guys on that.
Or something like that.
Yeah, I think one trainer got suspended or something because 2 of his horses passed away earlier in the week. But man, could you imagine if they had to put a player down with an ankle sprain and they were just like, "That's it, you're done.
You're done.
Put him in the lock, like just wheel him off. He's done."
I feel bad for those horses.
It sucks, yeah. But it's what it is. What it is. But luckily the NBA guys can bounce back. The only downside to the Knicks is they've been without Emmanuel quickly, and that's been kind of a dagger. His ankle sprain looked pretty nasty. I think it's a high ankle sprain just from watching the replays. I don't think we see him back this series, even if the Knicks can keep it going here. He was still in a walking boot, so it might be a while.
Let's see if they can extend their season.
When we extend our season.
I like the positivity. That's it, guys. That's all I got for you. Unless you've got some questions for me.
Brian, at this time, no, but probably next week when these third rounds start, we're gonna have to start talking about some health, probably. So,
we are. Yeah, it's a marathon. These playoffs. It's not a sprint.
100%.
There's no time to afford for load management. So you're either in it or you're not. At this stage of the game.
100%.
Health is going to be the thing that carries these guys to the finals and beyond. So,
thank you, Brian. We appreciate
you for having me.
Appreciate you, Brian.
My pleasure.
Let's go next.
All right. So we're gonna get into the week on repeat now. We know there's been some crazy games, and these series are unexpected right now. But we're gonna bring in our guest, Derek Stein. Where you at, man?
Hey, appreciate it, guys. Can you hear me?
Yes,
okay, appreciate it. I told Nat just before the show, unfortunately, I have a camera en route. I have a new monitor set up. So unfortunately, you're just going to be looking at a logo and hear my voice for the show. I hope that's okay.
No, that's okay. We want to hear you. That's all good. Mm-hmm. So
I just appreciate for being on the show. I really like the setup here.
100%. Thanks.
Thank you for being a part of it.
Absolutely. I had to get a Philly fan because I'm not a hater. I am not a hater. Like, it is what it is, So I want you guys to join, So let's talk about this series, Derek. So the series, it's been up and down for, I think, both squads. And right now, you guys took the third game, your third win, game 5 in convincing fashion. I think that was your best game, actually, of
absolutely
of
100%.
The series. And it was our worst. If we had to jump in the ocean, all we would have hit was sand because we could not hit anything. And there were some bad decisions being made, on our team, but I'll get into that in a few minutes. So Derek, talk about like you're close, one win away from going to the Eastern Conference Finals. It's been a minute. So talk about your team and how you're feeling.
Yes,
before you go, Derek, don't go light on her. She's a Celtics fan. Get her.
Don't go light.
Get her. No. I know. I appreciate our conversations, Nat. I've told you before, you're one of the few objective and conversational Celtics fans I've encountered on Twitter or any social media platform for that matter. Not the Philadelphia fans have a great reputation. I will fully own the Philadelphia fandom is a tough one to deal with at times. I myself am not welcome very often amongst the Sixers fans. I'm too objective, I've been told. But no, I mean, you were 100% accurate. I mean, game 5 was easily the Sixers' best win. I was shocked by how well the team performed. We expected Embiid to progressively get better as the series went on, dealing or at least kind of getting used to the knee injury, that he could just kind of adjust and find his natural rhythm. But Harden being a terrific playmaker, an amazing decision maker, and then we finally had a Tyrese Maxey breakthrough game, which, I mean, as you know, as a Celtics fan, Maxey has not had his best performances against you guys. So
Very
for
true.
him to have a 30-point outing and just every shot just seemed to look better, regardless of the coverage, that was great. Also, Tobias Harris, the $180 million man, as I like to call him, a really efficient night. He got into some foul trouble, but I love the performance. Anything when you can get north of 15 points and nothing disgusting defensively from Toby, that's automatically a win.
100%.
Yeah, no, it was an amazing game. To do it in Boston's floor, I think was a huge confidence booster, not only for the fans, but certainly for the players. That was the most under control, poised, focused I think I've seen this Sixers team look, certainly all year, but in the past handful of years. I mean, this team has lacked that composure, that experience, that professionalism, and it looks like they have it right now.
No, 100%. This series, regardless, has been a lot of fun. It's been very competitive and it's been back and forth. You guys won 1-4-5, and you got, back-to-back wins, and we got the back-to-back wins with 2 and 3. So it's been going, kind of seesawing or whatever. And last night, what I saw, was a team that was very focused. When you talk about Philly, very, very focused. And I saw a good coach in Doc Rivers who does not.
We will have to talk about Glenn. I will not call him Doc until the series is over and that ends with a victory. Glenn Rivers has a very interesting relationship with Philadelphia fans. Really, just the basketball world, though. I mean, I'm sure you have your history. I'm sure with Glenn. Of course, his reputation has truly been built in Boston.
Yep.
But to your point, I have to give him credit. Rivers has had a very good series, and I think overall has had a more successful, obviously the wins, but more successful series with adjustments, which is not something I anticipated against your coach Mazzulla, who I was fairly high on. I think as a rookie head coach, you saw what happened under Udoka. I think you had a fantastic team. This team was different, and I really enjoyed and appreciated the offense that I saw from Boston this season in the regular season.
Yep.
And those defensive woes, I say woes, but defensive shortcomings by comparison, because you guys were a defensive juggernaut the second half of last season. And of course, that whole playoff run.
Yep.
I was like, I'm not worried. You have two all defensive guards in Derek White and Marcus Smart. Shout out to Derek White, of course, making the defensive team. Rob Will, terrific rim protector. Al Horford, who I'm not sure what he drinks in Boston. It must be from the Fountain of Youth, but he looks fantastic overall. So it's just, top to bottom, it's terrific. So I didn't have any doubts. And I was very much, I guess, overestimating the fourth quarters. I wasn't concerned. I'm normally in the regular season in air quote, meaningless games. When you got 82 games, it's okay to experiment and let your players play. I think that's a better method long term for Mazzulla, just kind of letting these guys figure it out. I think that's a really good thing. But yeah, I guess the first thing we probably should talk about is Mazzulla. I mean, what's your thoughts on him this series?
So I'm gonna go give my thoughts really quick, and then Jones, I'm gonna come back to you, man, because I know you've been watching it.
No, go ahead.
When it comes, I have never been a fan of Joe Mazzulla. When it comes to him being a head coach, I'm not a fan, and it's because he prioritizes offense over defense. I do not like coaches that do that. I don't like coaches that don't have a balance. I don't like coaches that are stubborn and won't call timeouts, won't make the necessary adjustments. But for instance, right, Derek White is giving us absolutely nothing, and he's still in the starting lineup. You have a team I think is the deepest team in the league.
I agree.
And you are not playing with any of your lineups. That's weird to me. That's not leadership from a head coaching standpoint. You have Robert Williams, who's been a starter for this team for a couple years now. He's still on the bench. And you got a guy in Joel Embiid who is the MVP for a reason, so I'm like, okay, so we got a couple bigs here, maybe a double big lineup, Like let's try something out here. Why is Derek White still in the starting lineup when he's struggling? He's not giving you anything. Also, Jaylen Brown doesn't get enough touches, not touches, excuse me. He's not getting the ball in sets where he can score. He's getting the touches. He got like 66 touches, I believe. The most was Tatum with 76. And I think Jaylen Brown was at like 66 or 63 for the last game. So he's getting the touches, but I think that the focus is messed up when you have Derek White there because those shots should be going to Jaylen. Those other shots should be going to Jaylen. Simple, So I'm concerned at the lack of adjustments with Mazzulla because it's clear something needs to change. And what it is he's prioritizing 3-point shots and kicking it out to the 3-point shooter. Because there's a lot of times where they drive, where the lane, you have it. You have a floater, you have the mid-range, you have it. It's there. But you kick it out to Al Horford 7 times to go 0 of 7. Al Horford, who is someone who can score, not someone you lean on to score. That is a big, big difference. And that's not what's happening right now. We're leaning on him to score, and that is ridiculous. Asinine, actually. And this is Joe Mazzulla. This is not the player. This is Joe Mazzulla. This is his coaching. So I'm concerned, but you have to win 4. Until a team wins 4, everyone is in it, so
yeah, series ain't over. You guys are still in it.
It's not over. And the hardest thing to do is close out a team. Yep. Is get them out of here. It's the hardest thing to do. But, this is familiar territory. Literally the second round last year, we were in the exact same position, a heartbreaking game 5 loss. And we had to go and play on our floor and Milwaukee. So we had to literally win 6 and 7. We've been here before. So that's why I'm like, okay, so we're going to see what we get, but you got to win 4, and I'm not handing over any praise until we are done. Okay. Like,
fair enough.
You got to kill me, Derek. That's what it is. Because I'm not going to go away. But
that's the right attitude. That's what I hope Mazzulla is saying to his players and the staff in the locker room and at practice today. He should have the exact same attitude. It is not over until it's over. I have not celebrated really a thing until I see double zeros and a red buzzer sound on the scoreboard after hopefully game 6 at home.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy, but I'm gonna go to Jones real quick. Jones, I know you've been watching because last week when we talked, we were playing that night and we played well and we won.
Yeah.
So and then we went Friday night, we won again. So now we're back, and this time we were up 2-1. Now we're down 3-2.
Yep.
So talk to me about what you see.
I think you both hit it right on the head. I want just to speak about Boston real quick.
Mm-hmm.
You can't get 86 whatever points it was from Tatum and Jaylen and get I think it was a little over 20 from the rest of the guys when, like you said, you're the deepest team in the playoffs right now, and you're only getting you got 0 from Horford. 14, okay, from Smart, but I think me personally, I think some of the shots that Smart is getting up isn't really shots that he should be getting up.
Not good
he just
shots.
happened to right, exactly. Derek White can't give you 7 points. Brogdon, Williams, you can't do it. Like you said, you made a great point about Horford being in there. 7 threes, it doesn't need to be up there. You don't. You need someone that's going to be more physical with Embiid. And if you I haven't noticed it. Maybe you can answer this for me. Have they been? I haven't seen them throw too many double teams at Embiid.
And that's another thing. That's the reason why I've been saying, why isn't there a double big lineup? Because that was obvious to me after, especially game 4.
Yeah.
That's obvious.
He's only going to get better as the series goes on. He's getting healthier. He took the brace off. When I saw that brace off, I said, "Oh shoot, they are in trouble."
Oh, he
If
did
he
go
gets
off
hot,
for it.
he's about to go off, and he did. So, Boston needs to get it together. They can't. It seems like, especially in the crunch moments, they're confused on who needs to get the ball, who needs to. I mean, it's obvious, Tatum or Brown, but it still seems like in the flow of the offense, they're still a little hesitant on, wait, should we run this play? Or should we just go give it to Brown and Tatum and let them go off? Everybody stand in the corner and watch. They got to figure out that, like you said, it has to do with coaching. Coaching has to put that together, have them confident in what they're running on the floor, especially in crunch and clutch moments. To talk about the 76ers, they surprised me. I'm not going to lie. I'm not surprised they won the game. I'm surprised that the other guys came. I knew Embiid was going to do his thing.
Yep.
I was a little shocked by James Harden having another good performance. It wasn't another 40-piece, but almost a triple-double, 2 rebounds away from a triple-double. So he did what he normally does to facilitate, got involved in the offense. And then you got Maxey. He's a guy that James Harden has been on since last year about, dude, you that guy. You that dude. When you want to be that dude, you can be that dude.
Yep.
And you're going to have your opportunities. And he showed them last night that, hey, I'm still out here. And then when you got the other guys showing up, it's going to help your team, especially when your MVP is playing MVP basketball.
So real quick, guys, we're going to take a quick commercial break and we'll be right back.
Underdog Fantasy is here to save your post-fantasy football season blues. The easiest place to play and win with the Underdog Fantasy app. Get up to 20 times your money in a single night with our pick'em contests. Grab some insurance when setting your picks and win even when one pick fails. Go online now and use the promo code 3PEAT to double your deposit up to $100. Sit gingerbread, good girl.
Hey guys, and remember, type in the code 3PEAT to the Underdog Fantasy, and they will double your deposit up to $100. All right. So back to what you were saying, Jones. Philly is shocking, but the only thing that's shocking is Boston allowing Tobias Harris and Maxey to have good games.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's really it. Like, that's really what's shocking. You're allowing them to have good games. Take away, if you actually were the defensive minded team you were last year, Melton might have not have had that good game 1. If you actually locked in that missed coverage of Jaylen Brown game 4, I will never forget that. I will never forget that, because I don't think I've ever seen James Harden so wide open in my life. And he is my second favorite player of the last 13 years. He's never been that wide open. And you go over and help Joel Embiid, who Tatum is square up with him.
Right.
And guys, this is rule of thumb in ball. 2 is better than 3.
For sure.
So
it won't hurt you.
They keep the coverage in that game, and they stay man to man. We might be talking about something different here.
Absolutely. And like you said about the coach, Boston coach, it's got to be defense first. It's got to be. Just take a page out of last year. They got from the second half of the season last year, they went on an unbelievable run, and it all started on the defensive end, and it got them all the way to the finals. All the way to the finals. They didn't win it, but at least you were able to get there, and you still have the same guys, if not better. I don't understand it.
And that's coaching. Jones, that's coaching.
100%. 100%.
This is what happens. This is why it's important to have the right coach, because to this point, talent has gotten you here, and the talent on your team, because Tatum is so good, Brown is so good. The players that you have on this team, they're very cohesive when they play, and they like each other for the most part. unless I hear
For
something
sure.
different, but
Absolutely.
you're very lucky, you know. Derek, I got a question for you, guy.
Sure.
Do you close it out in Philly?
Yeah, we have to. I mean, you have to treat it as a game 7. I mean, look, we just beat Boston on their home floor in very convincing fashion. But if you lose in Philly, that locker room is beat. And Rivers is going to have no gospel song to send to James Harden. He's not going to have a speech waiting in the wings. There's nothing to tell your team. If you blow it at home, I mean, Boston's going to have all the momentum. So, yeah, absolutely have to close in Philly. It's game 7. It's your finals. That's what Philly has to treat this as.
It is your finals because when we win game 6, you're going to have to travel back to Boston. And
It's a short
then,
trip. I'm not worried about the trip.
don't be worried about the trip. What you got to be worried about, my guy, is let's take a little transition here. These all NBA teams.
Oh.
Let's talk about these all NBA teams really quick. So as you know, if you don't, third team, Damian Lillard, De'Aaron Fox, Braun, Julius Randle, Sabonis. That fair?
I think so. I think that's fair.
Yeah. The only person I think should probably be higher, and I want to see who's in front of him, is Sabonis. I think he's been unbelievable this year. Unbelievable. I don't think he gets the credit that he deserves for what he does. He was a major part in why the Sacramento Kings were able to do what they did this year and take the Golden State Warriors to Game 7. He was a huge part of that. And he's been that way since he's been in Indiana.
Yeah.
Sabonis is huge. So I think I don't know who's in front of him, but
I'm about to tell you right now the second team. And I don't know if you're going to argue with it, but you're talking about Steph Curry. You're talking about Donovan Mitchell, Jimmy Butler, Nikola Jokic, and Jaylen Brown.
Yeah, I mean that's hard to argue.
That's hard.
I had both Kings in my third team. A credit to Sabonis, and to your point, I mean the Kings were a fantastic story this year, and that was I think easily the best round 1 series, not only this year but we've had in some time. Golden State and Sacramento. 100%. I think D Mitch is properly placed. I think a lot of people are going to be sour on him after what happened against the Knicks, but realistically, he had a fantastic season, and he played a bunch of games. The reason why Dame, Steph, really were like out of first team contention is because of games played, and Mitch was terrific and had the game. So I think it was his fair placement. And look, I get people are going to be salty about Jokic, but listen, positionless stuff doesn't happen until next year, so he's got to suck it up and just deal with it this year.
Yeah, he's got to suck it up because I'm like second team Joker.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, sadly, there's an MVP center in front of him. So
I get it. But but
sorry, Denver fans, but listen, the guy from Philly just a little bit better.
Hey, listen, it's all good. I think he's gonna get another a couple more in the next 3 years. To be honest with you, first team: Shea, Luka, Embiid, Tatum, Giannis.
Yeah, it's hard to argue that. I'm so glad Shea got on there though. Shea, man, people don't understand how good that kid is.
Yeah, he was on a tear.
And he's doing it quietly. He does it quiet. No, he doesn't get the big headlines. Shea did this, Shea did that. He lights teams up. So I'm glad that he got the recognition this year. He definitely deserved it. He's going to be a monster for the rest of his career in the NBA.
Yeah, I mean, Jones, to build off of that, I would argue that he's already been doing it since last season. If it wasn't for the Thunder openly tanking, he would get a lot more recognition. Look, he gets a twisted ankle and is out for 3.5 weeks. That's not Shea's doing. That's because the Thunder are being strategic. and they know exactly what he'll do. He'll win too many games for them. So the fact that they're going to get Chet Holmgren on top of a fantastic young roster around him, Shea very much deserving. In fact, he was on my first team. The tougher spot was that second guard, and Luka. This is now his fourth consecutive All-NBA first team. Shout out to him.
Yeah.
But I think it's fair to say, like, aside from his ridiculous numbers, Dallas was certainly disappointing. And I'm kind of surprised that I'd be curious to see the votes because they were disappointing. I get it. It's not like they had a fantastic roster around him before or after Kyrie, really. But I mean, winning has mattered historically for first team stuff. Like normally that's a difference maker unless you're just otherworldly at your position. And I mean, Luka is otherworldly, but he had competition this year. And I don't know, like
crazy competition.
Steph had a run at it. I think games played is really the only thing that kept him out.
That is actually my issue with this list. Steph Curry. I thought Steph was fantastic this year. It's hard for me to look at second team and I look at Luka and I'm like, but Donovan Mitchell had a lot of 40-point games in the regular season.
3 in a row to near close the season.
Jesus Christ. That's a lot. Like
he was Kobe-esque. I mean, D-Mitch was Kobe-esque. And I think that was another surprising thing. I thought Shea and D-Mitch could get it just because, again, they had the perfect combo. I think D-Mitch was a hair under 30, but Shea was a disgustingly efficient 30 points. And like we talked about, like they were in the mix. I know they were the bottom of the West this year, but they were in the mix. Where D-Mitch, they were the 5th seed this year. So I just, I was surprised by that. I think Tatum and Giannis were obvious. I know Giannis was the only unanimous one, and I know they flared out in the first round, but he was, of course, outstanding again.
He was.
And like, look, I mean, we can talk about Tatum, but he was also outstanding in the regular season and is deserving at that spot too.
I mean, to be honest, like Luka's team fell to hell.
Sure.
Oh, bottomed out.
It fell to hell. Like they fell so bad. It wasn't on pace. When they fell, it was a free fall.
Nat, I mean, I think the comparison I made when they made the WCF last year and destroyed Phoenix in just filthy fashion. That Game 7 was disgusting to the eye. I compared them to the Portland Trailblazers when they got dog walked by the Golden State Warriors in the WCF a few years back. And look, any team that made the WCF was going to have the same result against that Golden State team, but Portland overachieved, and I feel like everyone knew it. Including Portland, and Dallas overachieved. I really thought that if Cuban and company were smart, they give Luka absolutely nothing to work with this year. Maybe give him some shade treatment. An ankle sprain takes him out, a month as opposed to 2 weeks, and just stink a little bit. Use your pick. You realize you need more help, and I mean the Kyrie Irving situation, like. The Kyrie conversation's one, separate almost from what he is off the court. But on the court, you still have to pay him. And now you have virtually no option because if you let him walk, it's all the more embarrassing. And you have nothing for it. So the Mavericks, were trying to deny the destiny of getting Luka to leave, but they did so much this year to just try to make that happen by creating a toxic environment, constantly trading players that he actually liked.
That's true.
They just did all the wrong things. They were taken from the Dan Gilbert playbook of chasing your star out, and
they should have kept the guys from last year. And what they should have tried to do is actually package up Christian Wood.
Right. What's he doing here? I mean, poor Christian Wood. He comes into work and this Jason Kidd is about to suit up a fan before he plays Christian Wood starter minutes. I mean, it's crazy.
That was some interesting coaching. Not playing Christian Wood was actually really solid, and he just did not play enough. And I really look at Jason Kidd and I'm like, what are you doing? But regardless, nonetheless, I think that when it comes to Luka in the first team, I think that he is a sexy pick. He is a name. He's a grab because I thought that he was second team. And I think that that's my only gripe minus the Jokic one. The Jokic one is very weird to me too. I would even be happy we can swap Luka and Jokic in some way. There's no damn way Jokic's second team. Like he was phenomenal. If you could give out 2 MVPs, he's the other one.
Oh yeah, no question.
You know,
totally.
But
I mean,
but Derek, really? Oh, really? Go ahead.
Oh,
Go ahead, Derek.
yeah, no, I was just gonna say, I think that's been the whole discussion the past 3 years about this whole positionless thing. That the fact, you're regulated to one center. I think Embiid should have been a first teamer. Certainly last year. I think the year before we had an argument, and not that Jokic beyond deserving. I mean, the gross part about this year is that Jokic probably should have deserved the MVP. Like with everything, given the circumstances, he had probably the best case he's had in the past 3 years. I think Embiid should have won it last year, and then we wouldn't have all this hoopla. And as a Sixers fan, and I mean, the Denver discourse with Philadelphia has been nothing but nasty. It's anything but cordial. And it's a shame because these are two fantastic, I truly believe, generational players that all of NBA fandom should just be able to appreciate. But it's constant bickering. And it's nitpicking the slightest things, and it's a shame. But I think next year, knock on wood, we hope for health for both. But both these guys should be all NBA first team next year, and hopefully it stays that way for the next few years.
100%. I want to draw you guys' attention to a second team name in Jaylen Brown, because what this means is he no longer has to think about his contract because he is a supermax guy now. He can get his money. He can get a supermax, which Boston will give him.
Yep.
I don't know, man. Derek, I think you're in trouble, man, because you got a second team guy that you're going up against, and you got a first team guy you're going up against. And I think once this came out, I don't know, Derek. I think that you're gonna see a tandem for the next 2 games, and it.
Oh, okay. Wait. Because they know now they're getting paid, they're gonna hoop better. I feel like it's normally the opposite. That
matters. That matters.
I've seen some guys guarantee some paychecks, and they said I can mail it in because guess what? I get to collect the same check.
Right.
I mean that. Like, look, again, Brown and Tatum very much deserving. Shout out to both of them. They deserve their bag. I think it's going to be a very interesting conversation next season because, for one, I am not sold that Boston is. Which will add up to north of $600 million for your salary cap. That's not a pretty number for anybody. And I think, as we've discussed, we all agree Boston has had immaculate depth, and they are not going to be able to duplicate this. Malcolm Brogdon does not exist for this Boston team if Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum are making the money they will make. So I think it's going to be interesting. It quite possibly could open some doors for the East moving forward. But I do think Boston overall should pay both of them because they're your 2 best players. And you just made the finals. Sure. You have the chance of at least getting to the Eastern Conference. We'll see. I doubt it. But, hey, you have the chance. So, look.
Wait.
Look, it makes sense. You probably pay both of them. But, it's gonna be interesting. It's a hell of a check.
I think that Tatum knew he was getting it, though. Like, this is the thing. I think we all knew Tatum was getting
Tatum knew.
Tatum's fine. It's Brown that it looked like he had a lot on his mind, to be honest with you, in this series. And
see him at the podium, he talking.
You see him, right?
Listen, that was a question I had for you because my goodness, Brown looks anything but pleased to be a Celtic at large. I'm not saying that he's bashing any of the players. It's nothing that dramatic, but I think. I mean, to your point, the fourth quarter usage for Brown, he is at least prior to Game 5. I don't know what it is after that, but he was 5th in usage in fourth quarters this series.
Yeah,
he's without question your second best player. Depending on who you ask, he's your first best player. So the fact that he's 5th in usage, and I don't care about they're seeking the best matchup. That's why Marcus Smart had the second most shots in Game 4. Yada. That's cool, but Brown can do a lot of Tatum impressions, and I think Tatum has been blasted a little bit too hard this series for his play. His first halves are gross, but especially in Game 4, he was making every correct decision with the ball.
Yep.
And he was getting guys good shots. Some of them didn't work. The Marcus Smart one, of course, if he has 0.6 more seconds, then we're looking at a different series. But Brown can do that.
100%.
To me,
Yes,
I feel as
I
though
agree.
Brown can drive to the basket and spray the passes out. And I mean, if Tatum is one of the ones receiving, you probably feel a little bit more comfortable compared to your Al Horfords and Grant
Mhm.
Williams and such. So yeah,
Yeah.
I just think the usage is a little concerning, and that again probably goes back to Missoula.
Yeah, that's a Missoula problem. That's not a Tatum versus Brown problem. That's a Missoula problem. Like I said, Missoula is wasting his usage on Marcus Smart and Derek White. I mean, this is the problem here. And then 7 threes for Al Horford. I think Brown shot maybe 3 threes last night. Horford shot 7. I mean, look no
That makes
further than
sense.
your coach. You know, I think though that he knows he's going to get paid. I think he will, to be honest with you. They're going to figure it out. I would hate to see Malcolm Brogdon go because I think he's a starter on this team. If we can stop, trying to let's stop trying to not hurt people's feelings and understand people are grown, you
Mhm.
know. You got a starter on the bench. That man, like, there's times where I look at him, he plays 20 minutes and he has like 18 and 7. And I'm like, like just off the bench. And I'm like, Jesus Christ. Like it's just so simple for him. He just understands the game. So I think that they will be fine. I still think that we're going to beat you guys. Derek, I'm going to stand on it. I'm going to stand on it. Okay. I don't back down easy. You know this. And
Yeah,
I
of
think
course.
that we're going to win. We've been here before. We know what it feels like to be down 3-2, to be honest. So we're going to be right back though with a quick commercial break, and we're going to come right back and finish this up.
Jazz, Sportsbook, Casino, and Racebook, the world's best resource for all-purpose online wagering. For over 20 years, Jazz has provided the best and quickest payouts in sports and entertainment wagers. Live sports betting, covering all the major sports leagues, and even into the new and exciting world of esports. Down the stretch you'll come, with Jazz's online horse wagering. Get paid when you play with Jazz's fun and exciting online casino games. Go online now and use the promo code TSS for our new members deals. Jazz Sportsbook, Casino, and Racebook, the world's best resource for online wagering.
All right. Guys, I know we spent a lot of time on the Celtics and the Philly series. I really wanted to get into a couple Western Conference series with only 2 that are there. And Denver versus Phoenix and Golden State versus the Lakers. 3-1, 3-2. Golden State has only won 1 game in that series. Do you think that this is the end of that core? If they lose the series, they got a few more, but if they lose, is it the end of this core? What do you think, Jones?
I'm saying yes. I think, especially Draymond. Draymond, I don't think there's a chance in hell that he is back in a Warrior uniform next year. There's been talks about him being moved previous years, but now it just seems like it's time. Everything that's been happening, especially you start off the season with punching a dude in the face. Come on, man. Come on. And then when you get on the court, your play isn't the same. You still have the same role. You're still doing those same things for the Steph and Clay and those other shooters, but it doesn't look exactly the same. He looks a little off. He doesn't look like he's playing as efficient as he used to. He used to put up a little bit more buckets. He'd find these guys a lot better. He just doesn't see himself. And then obviously all the antics. He's got to get into somebody's ass and talk about them and get at the fans and get at the refs and get in a fight with Steve Kerr. I think they've had enough. So I would not be shocked at all if Draymond is gone from Warriors next year.
What do you think, Derek?
Yeah, I mean, it's very hard to visualize this trio coming back. I mean, for starters, I think I don't know that Golden State wants Jordan Poole back to be part of this core. We could certainly talk about him, but as to your point, Jones, about Draymond, so he has a player option this season, and he has to make that decision by June 29th. So this summer, regardless of how this playoff comes out, I think he's still thinking about the next contract because every NBA player should. But he would be turning down roughly $27 million and to hit the open market, which we know what Draymond is, the good and the bad. I certainly think there's suitors out there. Do I think there's a suitor that's going to pay him $20 million a season? I don't, especially with the new CBA coming in, which seems to be all but ready to be ratified. A lot of teams aren't going to have that kind of budget that they would have had in years past. And I mean, if we're going to talk about the leadership stuff, to your point, Jones, punching a dude in the face preseason is not a way to start about leadership. And we've seen it clearly impact the Warriors all season. I think the dynamic is off. I think the young players really don't look at Draymond the same way. And I think while Steph and Klay certainly understand their roles and who they are, they, I think, also are kind of having a tough time trying to convince guys like Poole, Moody, Kuminga, who's supposed to be the next line for Golden State, to buy in the same way. Kuminga, we've seen complain about his minutes already and his, lack of consistency in the rotation. Not that I think he's got a ton of time in this particular series. I think the Lakers are just a really bad matchup for him, so I don't see where he fits in. But yeah, I think Golden State's got way too many problems. Klay Thompson also, if I'm not mistaken, is due to be an unrestricted free agent, and I mean, he's been one of the worst contracts in the NBA. I mean, again, not to his fault. I mean, these are just really unfortunate injuries, but Klay Thompson does not look good either, especially in this playoff series. I get like Klay is a total variance thing. He could very well be due for a 35-point outing tonight, and then the Warriors, stave off elimination. But my goodness, I mean, if he's not giving you those threes, you're not getting a ton. I said before, coming back from injury, Klay's not going to be the same defender. Quite frankly, I always thought he was a little overrated as a perimeter defender because Golden State plays such good team defense. But yeah, no, the only one you want back is Steph. And Steph is somehow 35. Don't know where that kind of came from. Really makes me feel old hearing that. But yeah, I think both of them are completely up for question. And I think Bob Myers, who also seems to be on his way out potentially, I think you could be looking at total regime change. And that's a shame because that would be the end of a dynasty, regardless if Steph stays at this, low tier MVP level.
Yeah, I think that there have been some bad decisions that have been made that are biting them in the ass right now. And one of them is getting rid of the what's the center that they sent to Detroit?
James Wiseman.
Couldn't they use some size right now?
Could they?
You needed Wiseman. He was developing too slow. You weren't developing him. You got rid of him prematurely. And because of your impatience, you are on the brink of elimination.
Was it second or third year?
This is, I think, his second year.
Yeah, I think this is his third season.
Third season. Yeah. But it's their system. Their system doesn't work for his game. So how can you have to change some things up in order to develop him? They did not do that. So I think that Draymond is gone 100%. I think he's out. I think this is it. I think that he is a Laker next year. Draymond will be a Laker. Like, who? I don't know. Who wants to bet me? Like, anybody out there who wants to bet me? Like,
I mean, I'll take that bet, Nat. I'll take that bet. I don't know where that money's coming from. And look, if the Lakers go on and win this series, whether it's tonight or whether it's 2 days from now, I mean, who knows? Maybe that dog that we see on Twitter is right, and this goes to Game 7. But I don't see it happening. And I really think my team, I guess we can call it a dark horse for Draymond is the Portland Trail Blazers because they are a deeply unserious franchise in terms of actually competing. Damian Lillard has bought and has earned this undying loyalty. I think Dame wants Draymond because he's only seen it kick his ass for the better part of a decade. Him and Draymond and Steph as a duo. He probably thinks that could work for him too. And it probably would to a degree. That they still won't escape the first round with how deep the West is at this point. But I don't know. I know Draymond has an obsession with Bron, seemingly. I mean, he has not beat those allegations. This man seems obsessed, but I don't see it. I don't see how Draymond, AD, and Bron can coexist with, I mean, just think of LA doing backflips. The fact that they get D'Lo or Reeves to hit more than 3 threes a game. That doesn't exist. That doesn't exist if you pair that trio together.
But Vando, right now, they got him running around like a chicken with its head cut off, trying to chase Steph all over the place because they're using him as a defender.
For sure.
The one thing that you're actually paying for with Draymond, his defensive abilities, his high IQ. He's a very high IQ player,
Sure.
and he's a playmaker. Yep. That's what you're paying for.
Totally.
So I don't see him going to Portland because what are you going to do? You're going to barely make the playoffs. You're not going to make the playoff. That team is going nowhere. The quickest way you can get to nowhere, look for Portland. Like they are not going anywhere.
Oh yeah, they're the Wizards of the East.
Yes, they're not going anywhere. It's a bunch of flash and bullshit with Portland. They've made a lot of bad decisions too, but Draymond I don't see him going there because for what? You're going to play with the guy in Damian Lillard who people think is the second coming of Steph Curry. I'm sorry to tell you he's not. Great, he's a really good shooter, great shooter even, but that IQ that Steph has, it separates him from so many other people, past and present and future. And the way he plays the game. I don't see Draymond going there because what is Draymond about? He is a guy with 4 chips. He will remind you that he has 4 championships. That team will remind you that they are winners. So you think he's going to go to a loser to talking about, hey, I'm loyal?
Yeah.
That can freestyle here and there?
Respect Damian Lillard's music career, please. But no, Nat, I can't really push back on too many of these points. I just think the logistics are not in Draymond's favor. Again, if he passes up on 27 mil, I get it, and maybe Golden State's could be telling him at the end of this series or into this offseason, yeah, we're not really feeling this anyway. You probably should just go elsewhere because I'm not trying to give you a contract after this. So if he's not feeling welcomed, then all the more inclination to go elsewhere. My problem is, to your point, Vando, who again is not the playmaker in any way, shape, or form that Draymond is, but Vando is making about $6 million.
Oh yeah, he's cheap.
Unless Draymond is willing to take a massive pay cut. And I mean, I'm sure the rumors will come out just as DeMar DeRozan was ready to take a minimum contract to come to LA and just something fell through the cracks. I'm sure we'll hear something like that. But unless Draymond's willing to take that wild pay cut, I just have trouble seeing it. And again, the role, I mean, the Lakers are in this situation because of really one main reason, and excluding the 2 main players for a second, but it's because they made some obscene trades at the deadline, and they finally got depth, which to me, I always felt like was obvious. If we've looked at LeBron's success in the past, it's you get shooting around him. Yes, you get some like defensive helpers, but you need options. You need availability first and foremost, but you need versatility. And that's what this Lakers team finally has. And that's the reason they have a shot against whoever remains in the West, whether that's Phoenix or Denver, after this series. It's because of the depth. So to me, I just don't see Draymond taking a big enough pay cut that allows them to keep this depth, because they have to pay Reeves, which I wholeheartedly believe they will. D'Lo is also up for contract. He could walk. That's conceivable. But again, if he continues to have a really good run, it's going to get a lot harder to tell him no. You probably want to shore up Vando if you can get an extension. That would be pretty ideal. And then you still have the backup big thing. So, Mo Bamba's probably not going to be here. No. And I imagine they're going to try and move Malik Beasley. But again, that's probably to get somebody else. Yeah. That's probably to get some guard play, because we've seen Reeves and D'Lo struggle with chasing. Now again, they're chasing Steph Curry, which, chasing a top 10 player probably isn't going to go too well anyway. But I think they're just going to try and shore up, because they feel like, especially if they get this Anthony Davis for the next couple of years, this is still prime title window. Draymond, I think, is so much like it could go very, very bad very quickly.
How old is Draymond? He's like 35, 36?
Yeah. 30,
I think 34, 35. I think he's like a year younger than Steph, but
he's not getting another contract of that much money.
Right. That's why I think there's a real chance he just takes the 27 mil, reevaluates. After the following season, I think there's a real shot that he joins the Lakers. But again, I think he's going to be taking a heck of a pay cut. So unless Clutch Sports, can pull something out of their bag and he gets like a permanent residency on the the shop or something, I don't know. Hey, he's a commentator, so maybe the pod and commentating will cover everything. And then you know what, he will take that minimum, and then I'll owe you money now if that happens.
Maybe, but I think that this team does look different next year, though. I really do.
Yeah.
You don't start the season off punching a guy in the face on your team that you need, because one of the reasons why they are down 3-1 in the series, Jordan Poole is literally not playing at all.
He's unplayable.
He is not He is terrible.
He's been benched.
He's been replaced by Moses Moody, a late first-round pick.
He's been replaced by Moses Moody. Jonathan Kuminga's not playing, which is asinine. But there have been some issues in this team, and they don't look cohesive. They don't look like they're locked in. They don't look like they're having fun anymore. Steph looks like he shows up to work every day with his hard hat, and he's just like, "Hey, man, I'm gonna shoot us in this game." It's honestly it's terrible to watch, to be honest with you, because I thought this was gonna go the distance. And I thought that, the Warriors with their scoring, they were going to be versatile enough to get it done and, use some better lineups, but it hasn't happened. I really don't. I think it's done tonight, maybe the next game, but yeah, that's that. Real quick, we got a couple minutes. I want to talk about just like a quick 30 seconds for both of you. Denver and Phoenix. Like, what are we thinking? Is this going to be, pushed to a game 7, or is this over game 6?
Go for it, Jones.
Yeah.
It's going 7. I think it's going 7. Team, they've just been killing at home. So Phoenix will win next game, and then Denver's going to take it at home.
Gotcha.
Okay. I'll say Phoenix has proven me wrong. I said Denver in 5 at the start of the series. I did not respect the depth, and I care too much about team chemistry and continuity. But Booker and KD are insane scorers, so they got him 2 games. I don't think it goes any further. I think it's Denver in 6, and I think Phoenix is going to have a whole remodel this offseason.
Yeah, this is done. Game 6, this is done. DeAndre Ayton, if he just
dominating.
If he was,
he gave himself a nickname. It never goes well.
Oh my God! You know what I said that I said he has the motor of a skeleton. It's just
his legs certainly look like it. He has skipped leg day. That's what it looks like to me.
He skipped energy day. He skipped like I give a shit day. Like I want to be better day. Whatever day there is to improve on you as a person, he skipped the whole fucking thing. Like, I just don't understand him. I don't understand why they gave him that money. That was ridiculous. They should have let him go or look for a sign and trade. It didn't happen. He just looks clueless out there. And he's one of the biggest reasons why they are not going to advance, because he's not dominant. Right. If he was a guy with the skill set he has flashed and shown that he can do 25 and 10, 25 and 12, this is a different series, you guys, because now you're like, okay, I got to check him. They're scaring us now, because if he does something that prolongs this series, you have Kevin Durant and Devin Booker to finish you. Now, because he's not that guy, this is over in 6, and you're going to have Denver versus Lakers. 10 seconds. Denver versus Lakers. Who takes it? How many games?
Lakers in 6, baby.
I gotta agree with Jones. I have to. I need it. I need Lakers Sixers.
Wait a minute. How are you the Sixers, and the Sixers are not? Never mind.
Yeah. See, now that's I think that's where we differ. Interesting matchup.
Derek, I really appreciate you coming on. Shout out to you. You're a great basketball mind. Tell the people really quick how to find you.
Oh, appreciate it. yeah, so I'm on Twitter, Derek R. Stein. That's how Nat and I found each other. We, ton of different spaces and great content there. Also, you can probably see the logo talking to you right now. Not Just Dribble podcast. That's my podcast, my show. We took a little bit of a hiatus there for a minute while I was in coaching season. So now that I'm, in the midst of summertime, I'm back and we're talking NBA playoffs. And hopefully with the season coming up, WNBA as well. I'm a girls coach.
2 seconds, Jones.
Yeah, go ahead.
Jones, we got to get out of here. Actually, thank you
We
guys.
outta
We'll
here.
catch you next week.